Today we're talking all about packing a travel makeup bag and not overpacking that travel makeup bag, but still bringing exactly what you need and want to look and feel your best, whether you're traveling by car or by plane. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Stephanie. I talk about everyday beauty made easy. And today I'm going to be showing you what's in my travel makeup bag that I have here, which is pretty moderately sized. If you're someone who wants to streamline even further, or who is maybe traveling by plane, I'm going to be showing you what size makeup bag you would end up with if you had to remove some of these items and put them in a TSA liquids bag. And of course, I'm going to show you which items those would be. I've traveled a lot in my 44 years of life, and I always like to bring exactly what I need for any occasion, whether it's just a quick look for daytime or going out at night. I see a lot of these travel makeup packing videos where people just bring everything under the sun in these huge makeup bags, and that's not what we're doing today. We are streamlining things so that you can still look really good, but not take up a lot of room. I'll be showing you some tips and recommendations throughout this video too, just some things that have helped me throughout the years, and hopefully they'll help you too. If you are not subscribed to this channel, if this is your first time here, I would love it if you would consider subscribing before you leave and become part of the family. All right, we can go ahead and get into the meat of the video. I love this makeup bag. This video is not sponsored. I've just had a thing for clear makeup bags lately. It has two zippered compartments. One side, this side is shallow and is made kind of for brushes and things like that. You don't have to put brushes in it. Clearly, I have other things in it, and I'll show you that in a second. And this side has kind of the bulk of everything else and the things that I use in the first steps of my getting ready. So the first tip I'm going to share with you is what I do when I first get settled in, wherever I'm staying. I usually take my brushes and the long things like eyebrow pencils, eyeliners, mascaras, things like that, which are housed in this side, and I'll put them in a jar or a cup, whatever I can find, so that they're sitting upright. When I'm traveling, I'm usually getting ready a little bit quicker or around other people, and that helps me have all those things just at my disposal. It's quicker, it's easier for me to just reach in and get them. So they're all out of this side now. They're out in the open, and now I can work only out of this side. I always appreciate it when brands have travel sizes of things available. Hourglass is one of those brands that offers travel sizes. I know you can decant products into smaller containers, which I do, and I will talk about that. But I kind of like having products like this just in their form where they pump out and give me the exact amount I need. It's worth it to me to spend that, but I get it if you want to just have your full size and pump out a little into a contact lens case or just a travel little container that you buy. I'll put links to everything down below and sources of containers that I like to use as well. And by the way, I do have a toiletry travel packing video that has done pretty well on my channel. It's a little bit older, but it's given people some tips for packing their toiletries and liquids and things. I will link that for you below and at the end of the video as well. Hourglass has their number 28 primer if you have dry skin, and their Veil primer if you have oily combination or normal skin. Dry skin people like this too. They have these in travel sizes. So I pack this. This would go into a liquids bag if you are traveling by air. So I'm just going to refer to that from here on out as a TSA item. Anything that is a paste that can be squeezed out of a tube or a liquid, that is considered. There are some tricky items that we'll talk about in a minute. When you're packing foundation, reach for a foundation that does it all. That one foundation that you can wear during the day or at night. You can sheer it out or make it a little fuller. It can be thinned out or built up. My foundation of choice that I pack pretty much every time I travel is Dior Backstage foundation. I also love that the packaging is very travel friendly because it's light, it's plastic, it's in a squeezy tube. Now clearly this is a TSA liquid. If I'm flying and I want to maximize the space in that bag, I'm gonna decant this into a contact lens case or a small travel jar to save space. I would not bring this whole bottle. I have this in here because I brought this on a car trip, so that's just a little flying tip. One thing that I did not show you guys is this. I keep this sponge storage separate. That's totally optional. You can keep your sponge if you use a sponge in your makeup bag. I just like having a separate mesh container because it dries quicker and it doesn't get all nasty, musty, moldy, and stinky. This doesn't take up much room. It clips right to the little zipper on your makeup bag. It'll actually hold 2 full-size sponges if you need it to. I just use it for one, or a small and a large sponge. If you can get away with 1 concealer, bring 1 concealer. I typically need 2 because the one that I use under my eyes doesn't typically work on my face. There are 2 stick concealers that I would ever consider traveling with because they're actually creamy. They're actually the only 2 stick concealers that I like. I'll list the other one down below. This is the Bare Minerals Bare Pro Stick Concealer. It's very creamy. It works really well for natural looks as well as fuller coverage looks. It works well under the eyes as well as on the face. I do find though that I have to use a different shade under my eyes and on my face when I use this usually. So I usually bring another concealer. This is just great because it is slim. It doesn't take up a lot of room. It is in stick form, so it does not have to go in your TSA bag. This is a liquid concealer, a creamy concealer that could be squeezed out of a tube because it's in that form. The Giorgio Armani concealer is what I would use underneath my eyes. It is also slim. It doesn't take up a lot of room. This is also in my makeup bag. If you can successfully set your makeup with a pressed powder and not have your oily T-zone shine through very quickly, then pack a pressed powder. For those of us who really need that loose powder to just set our makeup and make it last all day long, I need my loose powder because I do find that when I travel, I typically need my makeup to last a little bit longer than I do when I'm at home because I'm going from morning until late at night a lot of times. So I decant it into a smaller container. I actually have the Nikkia Joy loose powder into the smaller Laura Mercier travel container. It works out well. You can also use another smaller travel jar. I just happen to have this little travel container I got from some kind of a set. So I always decant my powder because I do need a loose powder. I know for a lot of people, there's the temptation to not bring certain things because you're traveling. But if you're wanting to not deviate from your routine, because you do just want to look like your normal self, the way you usually do your makeup, you want to bring the things that you normally use every day. And I feel like it's the tendency for people to not want to bring their corrector and concealer. But if you use them every day, bring them. Now, I use a corrector that is a liquid. This would have to go in a TSA bag, but because it's a liquid, you could also decant this into a contact lens container. I mean, you use such a tiny amount every day, you would not need to decant much at all. This would not go in my carry-on makeup bag that I'm going to show you at the end of the video. I've been loving cream and liquid blushes lately. For longevity, not only will they just help your makeup last from morning through the end of the night, but they also just look super, super natural. And so I do have a Daniel Sandler watercolor blush in here. It doesn't take up much room at all. I would only bring a liquid if you're traveling with checked in makeup or if you're traveling by car. If you're carrying on your makeup and you need to put things in a TSA liquids bag, I would bring a stick like Nude Sticks or Bite Beauty or something like that. Now, if you have been following my channel, you do know how much I appreciate a good face palette when I travel. In this particular makeup bag, I have the Hourglass Ambient Lighting palette in Ghost. Is that what this is called? Lighting Edit palette in Ghost. The reason why I love this is because not only does it have a large mirror in here, which is essential when you travel, but it has your bronzer / contour if you need contour when you travel, a couple of blush options. It's also got your finishing powder if you use finishing powder, and it's got your highlighter. It's got everything you need in it in one container, which to me is essential when you travel. Another travel palette that has been a lifesaver for me when I have traveled is the Smashbox Cali Contour palette. This palette is pretty similar, but it doesn't have the finishing powder in it. And the formula is perfect in both of these, though a little bit different. It's got a couple of highlighters, a great bronzer here, a great contour shade, it has a setting powder, and it's got a really great neutral blush in here. And I use the bronzers and blushes and highlighters on my eyes too sometimes, which makes getting ready even quicker. I am not one that packs large eye palettes They just take up too much room. I like to bring a streamlined eyeshadow palette that has neutral shades that will go with anything, that will also take me from day into night. So what I have in here right now is the Tarte Maneater palette. I think it is absolutely perfect for this. This is a palette that I have brought for travel countless times. I do have several other palettes that I bring for travel quite frequently that are small and are very streamlined. That's a whole other video though. So leave me a comment down below if you want me to do a video on my favorite travel eyeshadow palettes, because I do have some that are just no fails for me every time I travel. But what I love about this palette and the other palettes in particular is that everything I need is in them. There's a brow bone inner corner highlight. There are lid shades, transition shades, whatever I need for the crease or the outer third to deepen it up, as well as shades to line with, because I frequently line with eyeshadow. And now some of you might say that this next item is not necessary, but this is probably more necessary for me than the eyeshadow palette itself. I feel like I could skip the eyeshadow palette and just bring this and the face palette and an eyeliner and be set. So that's an option for you if you are wanting to streamline even more. I bring some kind of a cream or pencil eye product that I can put on the lid. So in this bag, I had both an Hourglass Scattered Light eyeshadow as well as a Nude Sticks pencil. Because if there are days where I am just casual and I need to get ready quickly, I can scribble this on, blend out the crease, or just tap this onto my lid and I am good to go. I can tap this onto my lid at night and it gives me a really pretty look. The Hourglass Scattered Light is what I have on my lids today, and you can see me applying the Nude Sticks in the footage, and it's just so versatile. It's so easy, and you just really don't even need anything else, but they're also great additions to have if you want to have them in addition to your palette. I do keep my eyelash curler in this section as well, because I can't leave home without my eyelash curler. Now my lip colors are going to vary from trip to trip. Sometimes I pack them in my bag, sometimes they're in my purse. Typically I bring just a straight neutral nude, kind of a peachy pink nude. In this particular bag, I have Charlotte Tilbury's Bitch Perfect. It's one of my favorite neutral nudes of all time. It's very creamy. It lasts a decent amount of time. My lip liner is in the other section, so I'll talk about that in a minute. And then the other option that I bring is either a deeper shade, kind of with a cooler tone, or a pinker tone. And most of the time, I look at what clothing I'm bringing to determine what lip products I'm bringing. The one that I have on today is Bobbi Brown's Crushed Liquid Lip in Juicy Date. It's just a nice neutral Lips But Better shade that has more pink in it than that neutral nude. So I like to have a couple of options, and sometimes I'll bring a gloss. Now the gloss or the liquid lip would go into the liquids bag. To not take up extra room in your liquids bag, you would just need to bring lipsticks only. So for now, I'm just gonna put this in the TSA liquids bag and put this in our makeup bag. If you're someone who regularly uses a facial mist or a setting spray, you're not gonna wanna leave those at home because they are items that you use regularly. Your makeup is not gonna look the same when you travel and you're just not gonna be happy. So I do have tiny little travel sizes of MAC Fix Plus, which is a facial mist. It kind of takes away that powdery look, and you just don't ever know if you're gonna end up cakey for whatever reason. Who knows? Makeup disasters do strike when we travel. And I have the travel small size of the Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray. I don't like to decant things like this into travel spray bottles if I had the full size, because most of the time the mist is terrible in those and the mist on these is perfect. These would go into a TSA liquids bag. Okay, this is empty. We are going to move to the other side. Now, typically when I travel, I put my lip balm or my lip plumper in my skincare bag because it's the last thing that I put on after I do my skincare before I start my makeup. But I did have it in here just for this video. This City Lips lip plumper is something that I use all the time. I'm gonna bring it on my trip. It is in here. This would go in the liquids bag. This is the Hourglass Arch Micro Brow Pencil. I think that's the name. This is what I use every day. It's very slim, very easy to travel with. I also have my brow gel that I wear regularly. This is the Maybelline Brow Precise Fiber Volumizer. This would go in the liquids bag. However, I will say I have traveled many times with brow gel and mascara. in my regular makeup bag and have never been stopped. Now, I'm not telling you to do that, but for some reason, they don't typically get you for those. So you can always be like me and just put these in your makeup bag. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is they're gonna stop you and make you take them out and put them in your liquids bag. Which brings me to mascara. I bring one mascara. Now, typically, I don't usually use one mascara. I use a light waterproof coat to keep my curl, and then I use a regular mascara that's volumizing and lengthening, and then I use a lower lash mascara. But when I travel, I use a multitasking mascara, and I choose from the ones that I know that don't flake, don't smudge, hold a curl, and that usually means that they are waterproof. The one that I have in here is the Covergirl Exhibitionist, waterproof. Urban Decay Perversion is another that I choose quite frequently. So that is what is in here. Now, if you are going to bring a lip gloss, bring a smaller, slimmer one, because any gloss is gonna have to go in your liquids bag. That's just a small tip that has nothing to do with the smaller, more streamlined makeup bag we are going to put together here in a second. I just wanted to give you that little tip. My lip liner is usually a nude that goes with anything. Charlotte Tilbury's Iconic Nude is usually the nude that I pick because it applies easily and quickly, and it wears a really long time and just goes with pretty much any lip color that I put on. So I had just had this little pouch laying around. It's from EcoTools. They had a little travel brush set, and I just used this pouch. That lip liner was in here and the gloss was in here. Also in here is my foldable lash comb. This is something I use on an everyday basis because the prongs are placed perfectly and it just combs out any clumps perfectly. I just have clump prone lashes and it just works beautifully, and I will not travel without it. And no, you do not have to put that or tweezers into checked luggage. They're fine. And the tweezers were also in this bag. I never leave home without tweezers. You just never know what's going to happen when you're on the road. So I have things that just live in my makeup bag because I like to not have to repack things over and over if I can help it. So I do keep a little note card in there or a sticky note just with the extra things that I need to put in there so I don't forget. That's another little tip if you do keep things packed, like these little travel makeup brushes and the travel primer and things like that. Those live in there so that every time I pull my makeup bag out, I only have to add in the extra things that I want to bring. But if I don't have that note in there, I'll forget certain things. So I do keep that in there. That's another little tip for you. If I can find decent quality travel makeup brushes, I will bring those when I travel because they'll get the job done decently and they take up less room and they can live in my bag. I don't have to think about repacking makeup brushes every single time I travel. So I have some here from EcoTools, Sigma, and Charlotte Tilbury. Most of these are eye brushes. One is a blush brush. It can also be used for contour, powder, or whatever. So those were also in here. I also keep one of the Anastasia double-sided eye brushes just because it multitasks and it just takes up less room than two brushes. I really like having a decent powder brush, decently sized, that feels good and does the job decently. It Cosmetics, I hope they still make this Heavenly Luxe wand ball powder brush. If they don't have it, I'll try and find a different one. It's not as long as most brushes. It's kind of compact. That lives in here. I also have an extra of the Sigma E40 that I keep in here because this is a great multitasking brush. You can apply blush or contour. You can just do different things with this, and it is slim, so that is a great brush to travel with. You know those free Sephora birthday gift brushes? I keep that in here because this is actually a great brush to use for finishing powder. This e.l.f. stipple brush, it's very cheap, but it's really great for applying cream blush. So when I bring my cream blushes like that Daniel Sandler or the Glossier Cloud Paints, this is the brush that I pack. My eyeliner is in this compartment, and I will bring a long-lasting eyeliner like Urban Decay 24/7, Wonder 2, or Buxom. I'll have the links down below to the ones that I prefer to bring because they do smudge decently well and last all day. Now, another option to bringing a compact yet fluffy powder brush is bringing a retractable one. This one is from Lila B, but a lot of people make these and they're soft and fluffy and you can use them for bronzer or contour. They just have a lot of multiple uses, and I like to get multitasking out of all of my items. And this Real Techniques setting brush, this is really great for setting your under eye or dusting translucent powder away from your under eye, as well as applying a highlighter. They're inexpensive, so this lives in here. Now these are two brushes that I put in here that live on my makeup table. I always put a slanted eyeliner brush. This is from MAC. And I always put a smudger brush. This is the Sonia G Smudger 2, because when I'm doing my eyeliner, I really like something that's going to give me a more precise line and something that's going to smudge it really decently. And I haven't found travel brushes that do the same job. And I mean, these really don't take up any room at all. All of these products are now in our liquids bag. Now, some of them, because of the tips that I share with you, are going to be decanted, so it's not going to be quite this much bulk. Now, what was in this makeup bag is now in this makeup bag. That's quite a difference. I even put the bulky powder brush in here instead of the compact retractable powder brush. You can really streamline things if you really need to, or if you are traveling by plane. I hope these tips and recommendations help you streamline your travel makeup bag a little bit. If you have recommendations for people, leave them in the comments below. If you haven't seen my original travel tips video for packing your toiletries, I will have that linked here for you. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, hit that subscribe button and become part of the family. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.